Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestler Weekly Presents. It is Happy New Year. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. It's 2019. We made it. Another successful year of 2018 in the books. Welcome to 2019. Family Bacon Wrestling. Established 1972. Wrinkled shirt. Don't care. It's 2019, it's New Year's Day, and I am here for another special. That's right, the Wrestler Weekly presents the New Year's Day special. I'm going to open this big box, the Bob Backlund box. I've got the vinyl going. I've got my, if you watched the Christmas special, that's right, I popped open this David Bowie Black Star album. The David Bowie is on the turntable. Family Bacon Wrestling. Amazon, if you haven't picked that up. This year, 2019, belt versus belt, the most historic match of our time. That's right, yours truly, writing a book about January 25th, 1978. Superstar Billy Graham, the WWF World Champion, against Harley Race, the NWA World Champion in the Orange Bowl in Miami. So that one is coming out, and I should be finished up with the manuscript in a few short weeks. Off to the publisher, and hopefully June 1st, a summer release. That's right, so you can read it while you're at the pool, at the beach, kind of like you did this past year for Family Bacon Wrestling. But the big box. Scotty, get the scissors. We got to make that a t-shirt, Bobby. Let's get Halifax Matt on the case. But let's open this up and get started. All right, I'm going to put this down because then I'll just dig from it and we'll go from there. I may have to flip the record here. Let's see. We're about to go track out here. All right. Let's see what we got. I will tell you, we have a lot of packing material here. I have a friend of mine who is in the business and hooked me up. Bob Backlund was going to be a guest appearance, and it just worked out. Bob was also at WrestleCade in Winston-Salem here recently, back in the Thanksgiving time frame. But I was in Florida visiting my family. My dad is doing well, so thanks for all your thoughts and prayers as he is still battling back from devastating stroke a few years ago, but he is doing well. Watches wrestling every week, DVRs it, doesn't miss it. If you want to hear about his story and more, Family Bacon Wrestling. That's right. What do we have in the box? This first one, I will tell you, this being able to get Bob Backlund on so many mags. When I was a kid, Nick Bockwinkel, AWA, Harley Race, NWA, Bob Backlund, WWF champion. I was just on that cusp. So right there about 78 to 82, that time frame is my favorite wrestling. I know some of you keep going on further and you love that. But my era, when I started really understanding and watching wrestling, was in the Mid-Atlantic area, but it was through the magazines. Now, I know that I have friends that are not Bob Backlund fans at all. They are, because, if you lived in that area and you had Bruno Sammartino and, followed by Superstar Billy Graham, even if you go before Bruno, back when he had his first run and into, the popularity of Pedro Morales, And so, you didn't like Bob Backlund, wasn't good on the mic, all those kinds of things. But for a kid like me that grew up in the South, living in Virginia and then Florida, then North Carolina, we only knew Bob Backlund through the magazines. Now, I've had this conversation with my friend Jim Valley, who out in the Pacific Northwest area, and where he grew up, and he was similar to me. We just always saw Bob Backlund on the cover, great articles. He just looked like that All-American boy. The classic mag with him with the American flag in the background, all those things, man. I mean, the matches that he had, the feuds that he had, whether it was Antonio Inoki, Graham, whether it was Ken Patera, the list goes on. Playboy Buddy Rose, Jimmy Snuka. There's so many things that the feuds, and so we only knew him through the mag. So it was such an honor and a privilege to be able to get connected with Bob and send some stuff for him to personally sign. And I put some of those photos out on Twitter of him actually signing that came in to me. And so, this is one of those things where he had the opportunity, put the ball on the tee, slapped the ball off, got a double up the gap. And this box, man, was it really was more than just a two base, in the gap. This was a home run, man. This was a grand slam opportunity, and just happy that it worked out for me. I'm gonna flip the record here as we move on to what is in the box. Let's start with this one from Japan. It's kind of a newspaper feel, but I had Harley sign this and Bob signed it to complete it. This thing is going right into a frame and right on the wall. It's thin, as you can see. It's kind of got a newspaper feel to it versus a magazine feel. It is a little brittle. It's a little curl at the bottom, so the framing will fix that. But look how awesome this is, man. And as you know, I'm writing a book about belt versus belt. I've talked about the follow-up book, which I did interview Harley Race to talk about these matches where he wrestled Bob Backlund. First one actually was in my hometown, Jacksonville, Florida, right there in 78. So, but look at this, man. That is just as classic as it comes. Now, I could end the show. I could show this one mag, or 8 minutes, and the show would be in the books. But we'll keep going because I got a ton of stuff in here, man. All right. Now, let's see. There's some notes. It looks like we got some notes here. So there's going to be some notes along the way. That's pretty good. So we'll have some notes along the way. Let's see what this note says. All right, it says that this one he signed. This is the only one he signed incorrectly, and I'm sorry about that. But I'm looking at it, and I see what he means. So this is a Harley Race. This is a back cover issue. If you read my book, you know what that means. But Bob signed it over here instead of where he's at here. But I don't care. Look at that. Bob Backlund and Harley Race on a mag together. I don't care. I'll take it. That's awesome. Put it up here so you can see it. And I know there's some glare. I'm not going to take time to take the bags and boards off, so there'll be a little glare. So my apologies. What do we got here? This is the Japanese mag, 1978. Ric Flair signed it. I had him sign that personally. This is the NWA World Tag title that he had with Greg Valentine. And there you see Bob Backlund has now signed it. See if I can get the glare off. A lot of good wrestlers on there. Big time there, man. I mean, this box is just loaded. I just talked about this feud, and here we have a signed Japanese mag, Bob Backlund and Antonio Inoki. Both with the belts. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that when you've got the belts. That one there. Now, as you know, if you've been following Twitter, if you know about our conversations, you've got some of the inside scoop. I think at the top of my list of wants is this where Antonio Inoki wins that world title. I have been looking. I don't even know if they exist. I've never seen one. But I am looking for the ticket stub to the match where Inoki wins the title. I don't know if it exists. Maybe one day I'll take a trip to Japan and look myself and see if a collector has it. But if anyone has that and they want to strike a deal with me, let me know. I've seen the Antonio Inoki Muhammad Ali ticket stubs. They're out there. Plenty of those are out there. But I've never seen this match where he takes the belt. So that's just this little sidebar. This is one of the greatest of all time. Bob Backlund with the crimson mask, which we have fans all the time that say, "What, he bladed? He got bloody? Come on, man, do some research, pal." Bob Backlund. I mean, even in the match with Harley Race that was in MSG. I mean, Bob is bloody for sure after that match. So here's a good mag sign. Anytime you've got belt on the cover and signed, I mean, I'm in. I'm sold. So another Japanese mag. This is another one that last year I had Harley Race sign, and now Bob Backlund has added his signature. There's only one signature that we will not be able to get, unfortunately, with the passing of Nick Bockwinkel a couple years ago. But these were the guys, man. These were the three champions when I was a kid, and I would get those Inside Wrestling mags and open them up to the middle ratings section that you know I love, and we spotlight every Friday on our hashtag Friday ratings these champions, and to get Bob on there is just great, man. Probably going to hear me say that quite a bit, so I'm going to try to see if I can come up with some more adjectives. Another Japanese mag. This is the great belt versus belt. Ric Flair in the Omni, Bob Backlund, NWA, WWF, Gordon Soley on the cover, and now signed by Bob Backlund. Got a lot of Japanese mags. Japanese mags always rare, and then when you can get them signed, it makes it that much better. All right, what do we got here? Here's a trivia. Oh, a little trivia note. All right, trivia. Let's see if I can find it. Oh. Here it is. Little trivia. This is Bob's first ever photo taken as a pro wrestler in here. He mailed this to all the promoters across the country and Canada. He said Stu Hart was the first to respond when they talked via payphone. Bob ran out of money before they could talk business. Let's see what he's talking about. This was a poster that I pulled out of a Japanese magazine and put in the box. And this is a Bob poster signed And as my good buddy here says, this is Bob's first ever photo taken as a pro wrestler. He mailed this to all the promoters across the country and Canada. He said Stu Hart was the first to respond. When they talked via payphone, Bob ran out of money before they could talk business. So those are, and you know what these are? These are great things when you meet the wrestlers and you're getting those autographs, especially if you have quite a few, like typically Reggie and I do. You can't help but have great conversation. I've had it with Ric Flair many times. Terry Funk was always a good one for me. But these were, this is kind of the great thing, and it's been captured. That is just brilliant, man. Captured here by my good friends. Now, this is wrestling album number 8. You guys have seen this before, but Bob signed it. And let me just go through all the people on this cover. Hulk Hogan. These were all signed. I got all these signed in person or through a contact and the wrestler. But Hulk Hogan, Magnum TA, Tommy Wildfire Rich, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Bruno Sammartino, Superstar Billy Graham, Harley Race, and now Bob Backlund. I mean, it does not get much better than that. I mean, that is just as classic as they come. So to get Bob on there, that's, whew, man, it's going to be, you know, this box, I mean, could have been another Christmas special from last week. But so you got another note here. This note says, I wasn't sure where you wanted this one signed, so we found him on a page. I hope we were right. Let's see. Look at this feud. Bob Backlund signed with Jesse the Body Ventura. Oh, the glares are tough. There's a good shot. Awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. All right. What else is in the box? We're about 17 minutes in. I can tell you, now this one, I've got a COA, but that was not this mag. I must have had a backing board in the wrong one, but I'll take this one out just so you can see it. I love this one. I picked this one up. It was a WWF Championship Wrestling program from August 1st, 1977. And it's Bob Backlund on the cover. And I think I literally got this maybe a week or 5 days before I sent the box off. And so this one was right on time, pure 70s. And the book I'm writing is all about that time frame, 1977 and early 78. So this one is great. Love that one. All right, this one is one of those which I really love to do, which is multiple signatures on the cover to kind of try to complete, if you will. This is the Wrestler March of 79, already signed by, now this one, I mean, this may shoot up my list for my collection. Think about these three guys. Now, Bob Backlund has finished it for me, but on the cover, Dusty Rhodes signed, Nick Bockwinkel signed, and now Bob Backlund. I mean, this has got to be one of those mags that goes right to the top 5 of your collection when you've got those three guys, all world champions, on the cover. Again, this was 1979 March. Here's another back cover mag, the Mil Mascaras back cover of the Wrestling Album 4. And so this one was already signed by Mil Mascaras and Superstar Billy Graham. And on the cover, Graham is wrestling Backlund. So I went ahead and threw that in there just to get Backlund on it. But that is 3 great ones there. You see at the bottom, looks like Bruiser Brody and Andre the Giant are on the bottom, but that's now signed by Mascaris, Graham. Take some of these down. Another great one there. All right, this is a WWF program from April 14th of 1978. It is champion Bob Backlund in a rematch against the former world champion, Superstar Billy Graham. Now, I'd say about a month ago, maybe more, maybe 2 months ago, was able to get Superstar Billy Graham to sign this in hopes, as we said last time on our Christmas special, that low-hanging fruit, as I call it, being able to then capture Bob Backlund to sign the program. So now they've both signed it, and another gem of the collection, as we say. But the 2 world champions in the rematch. All right, this is George Napolitano's first Volume 1, Number 1 of WWF Wrestling Action. This was already signed by Superstar Billy Graham and Bruno Sammartino. I did obtain both of those signatures myself, and now we add Bob Backlund. And if you can look down here, there is Bob, the young lad looking over. You see who's on the top of the mountain, and Bob soon to ascend there. But this one is really a rare one for me, because if you think about it, it's WWF Wrestling Action Volume 1, Number 1, and it's signed by the 3 world champions that replaced each other. Bruno Sammartino, Superstar Billy Graham, and Bob Backlund. Great one there. And that poster that's inside with Superstar Billy Graham, had Billy sign that one as well. So that one got the full gamut. I really need George. I'd like to have George sign that, which would be a great one. Now here's another classic. This is PWI January of 1980. Already signed by Dusty Rhodes, and now signed by Bob Backlund. That's a good one. Really like that one. All right, now this one, I have 2 issues of PWI's first ever issue, okay? I have 2. And so what I decided to do, I think it would be cool, is I went ahead and got Bob to sign the back of one of those issues. And obviously, I'll get Ricky Steamboat here in 2019 to sign that one. And then what I want to do is I want to take my other issue. It shows the cover with Dusty Rhodes and Mil Mascaris, and then put it side by side with this one, which would then be signed by both, and frame it. I think it would be cool. It's kind of an idea that I had come up with, and to have the 2 issues and really display them both, because this is such an awesome back cover with the belts. I mean, as you know me, that's my favorite belt, the United States Mid-Atlantic NWA title. And I'm also trying to one day obtain that Backlund belt that was the blue. Graham had it at the very end of his reign. That's the belt this is the belt that was walked into the ring for belt versus belt, the most historic match of our time. That was the blue title that was defended against the NWA World Champ Harley Race. So that's sentimental for me. As you know, that's my favorite event or match. And so something a little cool, and that's kind of the stuff that I recommend. We're all fans, we're all collectors, in some sort of fashion. Some people do figures. Some people do wrestling cards. Some people do mags, posters, programs. Doesn't matter. You're a fan. So, my job is to try to help you, give you some ideas to work with, and maybe shoot for to help your collection. If you're wondering, I've got some more mags in the box. This is one I have been wanting Bob to sign this one for so long, and I'm just, it's one of those that when we're not filming and it's just me and my mags, so to speak, this is the one that will probably get me emotional, the goosebumps, the tears, the childhood memories, if you will. But this is the wrestler August of '79, already signed by Nick Bockwinkel and now signed by Bob Backlund. This was another belt versus belt matchup, and I know our good buddy Matty Montcalm with Wrestling with Classic. He's looking for this match, and so to have both sign this and knowing the history, knowing the belt versus belt, this one is a special one, just a special one for me. All right, this is one, and I've talked about this one. Reggie has it fully signed. Even my good friend Mike Parker has it fully signed, but I have tried to take the Journey's walk and try to get this myself. So 4 of the 5 were obtained by me, starting with Ric Flair was the first. Bruno Sammartino was the second. Harley Race was the third. And now Bob Backlund is the fourth. And I need one more to go. That's right. Mill Maskers, if you know of any way, shape, or form that I can, any contacts for Mill, please send them my way so I can get this one completed and join my brother Reggie and our good friend Mike Parker to have this one. And I think Bud has one himself. He may have sold it to Mike, I don't know, but here's another one of those classics that was finally completed. This one already signed by Dusty Rhodes and Harley Race, and now the third world champion to sign it, Bob Backlund. I'll tell you a little inside scoop on this mag. As you can see there, wrestling here, Pat Patterson. I had a deal set up to get Pat to sign this, and I decided not to. Nothing against Pat, great career, awesome IC champion, but I felt like you got Dusty in the middle, you got Harley on this side signed, and to get Bob on this side kind of balances it out. 3 world champions, so just that was my thinking on it, and I'm going to rest this one. It is complete for me. So kind of proud to have that one. As you know, the background and the story on this one, Reggie, we met Dusty Rhodes, and Reggie got this one signed, and then we had some trades and some other things that happened, but there's that mag. Here's another completion. Harley Race, Bob Backlund, belt versus belt. This comes from January of '81, Inside Wrestling. This match took place in 1980 and now complete. There's some satisfaction when you complete sets or collections, and it's one of those things that really doesn't get old. I've got a great friend. You've heard me talk about him, Bill Pavlik. Shout out to you, my friend. And Bill is like us. He loves finishing collections and getting that last piece. But then you kind of rest a little bit. But then it's like, okay, now what? Because we're all researchers. We all like to dig and find and see what we can come up with to move forward. to strike that, onto something else. And so, I mean, I've got so many collections listed, written down, and in my head that I don't know if we'll ever get to the end. But that's the fun part, man. That's the American Picker's way, right? So here we go. This is it's becoming more rare if you think about it. If you go out there and look, it's becoming more rare. Or when you do find it, man, you're going to pay $65, $75 for it, unsigned, clean, as we say here at Wrestler Weekly. Clean meaning no autographs, but this one I just got autographed, and it's Bob Backlund on the cover, Wrestler of the Year, and for 1982. As you know, that this is part of a collection that I'm putting together. If you watched our Christmas show, you saw the Hogan from 2004, and now here's the Backlund. But this is kind of what I'm trying to accomplish and really spread them out, these PWIs with the Wrestler of the Year awards. And so, again, another collection. All right. I had Bruno Sammartino sign this one, and now adding Bob Backlund to sign it. And it's also signed, you can see that it's also signed by Brent Hardison. Who is Brent Hardison? Well, to know who Brent Hardison is, my friends, my followers, my fans of Wrestler Weekly, if you read my book, you know who Brent Hardison is. If you haven't, then I just recommend you pause, go to Amazon, buy the book, read it, come back, play, and then you'll understand a little bit more of who Brent Hardison is. Now we're getting close to the end. I have 2 mags left, so we're getting close to the end here. Hopefully you've enjoyed this big box Bob Backlund package break, or box break, who knows at this point. But here we are, another Bruno Sammartino that I had him sign. Hoping one day to get Bob Backlund to sign. This is the Wrestler, April of '79. And here we go. The 2 world champions, both belts. Bruno says, I'll wrestle Backlund if my fans demand it. The Titanic struggle for the WWF belt. Bruno versus Backlund, the greatest match of all time. Love it when you see those on the covers. Building the intrigue. Got Nick Bockwinkel and Jim Brunzell down at the bottom. But signed 2 champions. Again, belts on the cover. Can't beat it. Whoa! Lost one. What'd I lose? Let's see what I lost. I lost the mag I just put up. Let's put it back up. There we go. There we go. All right. Last mag. Drum roll, please. Here we go. Inside Wrestling, February of '82, why Greg Valentine is the rightful WWF champion. If you remember this controversy, if you remember this match, referee 1, 2, 3 and raised Valentine's hands. He gets the belt. He walks out. If you go to YouTube, Wrestler Weekly presents Season 2. I did a whole thing on this, so you'll have to go and try to find that. But here is Bob Backlund and Greg Valentine, both signed. And there's Valentine with the belt around the waist, but now signed, the cover signed by both wrestlers. This was another great Backlund feud with Greg Valentine. I mean, one of the best feuds in the kind of the middle part of Backlund's reign, getting close to the end. I'd say, what was this, 81? So we're getting close to that 82 end of his era there, if you will. But man, what a box! What a collection here that I've put together with signed Bob Backlund items. And I still had I've probably got another, man, I don't know, 10 to 12 Backlund signed mags that are already in my collection. I met him at WrestleCon a couple years ago, so already had a few things, but I had this opportunity, and man, I just couldn't pass it by. This is probably going to go down as my last big run. That's what I've been telling my friends internally, that this is this Bob Backlund, this big box. You can see how big this box. I mean, this was probably my last big run. There's so many things that I've got to. We as Wrestler Weekly, as a family, we got so many things that we're doing here in 2019. I mean, got the book, working on the book. That will be out June 1st is what the target date is. That's Belt versus Belt, the most historic match of our time. Superstar Billy Graham versus Harley Race. Also, March 6th, don't forget, Trey Snide will be our host. He works for WIZS in Henderson, North Carolina on the radio. But we are going to have our podcast. Trey Snide and Mike Leotis and myself, the Wrestler Weekly podcast, will launch. Mike is finishing up his show, Wrestler Weekly Conversations. He's had some unbelievable guests. He's been tearing it up with that on Wednesday nights. Tuesday nights, he does Wrestler Weekly Live. We have so many things happening. If you want to catch us, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Wrestler Weekly. These t-shirts, many more, our logo shirts as well. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com if you want to support the show and all the content that we're putting out there. Don't forget Patreon coming up, hopefully this month here in January of a new year. But Patreon, you will see the return of Wrestler Weekly Presents Season 1. All 15 episodes plus the bonus episodes will be out there. You can purchase the whole season or individual episodes. Season 2 goes in the vault March 1st, so stay tuned for that. But to our friends, our fans, our followers, Happy New Year! We made it. It's 2019. We're looking forward to such an unbelievable year. But for myself, Reggie Richardson, and Mike Leotis, the Wrestler Weekly family, and now introducing Trey Snide to the family here at Wrestler Weekly, we wish you and yours a Happy New Year. So fans, until next time, so long for now.
Somebody say something about Tommy Wildfire Rich coming to you live in Myrtle Beach. The waves are gusting and the breezes are blowing. Lord have mercy. Wrestler Weekly. Y'all better check this stuff out.